Hello everyone, welcome to Samiksha Academy. Let's read today's newspaper. So the first one, it's an ad from West Bengal government. It's about Bengal Global Business Summit to attract investors to the state of West Bengal. So here, I think here you can see this, India's first underwater metro tunnel. An interesting fact, green hydrogen policy, right? Home to largest foundry park. So whenever we come across this kind of statements, it's just better to pay attention to that. So that is about this, just for this ad from West Bengal government. Let's see some global news here. See, images show China building huge fusion research center. This is with respect to hydrogen bomb. Way back in 2020, right? There was news about this coming up of this particular facility. Now we can see the satellite image here with respect to the hydrogen bomb, right? See here the important thing is the technology, the fusion technology. As you all know, with respect to nuclear weapon, we will be using nuclear fission. There the uranium atoms will be dividing into barium plus krypton, thereby releasing huge amount of energy. But in the case of fusion, the one that happens in sun, two hydrogen molecules, right, will be bombarded together, thereby releasing huge amount of energy. Understood that? So this we have to see, we have to observe this, very much important in the context of not only world affairs but in the context of India and China relationship. Okay, so see this one, though I think you know about this Louvre museum, right? This Louvre, it's a museum where I think you know the world's most famous painting Mona Lisa, right? So there it is located in this particular museum. Now the government is planning for renovation plan, especially to attract more tourists, because right now it is facing challenges with respect to like leakage of water, right? But the key word here is this Louvre museum, the one that is located in France. So this is about some detailing information about this one. Next, see this. As yesterday also we discussed, fighting rages in Congo, embassies under attack. As we already discussed, whenever we read about world news, it's better to open the atlas and see the information. Whenever immediately here we are seeing Congo. So here we have to see about the issues between Congo and Rwanda here, because now the rebels are getting support from Rwanda. I think you all know about the 90s Rwanda genocide, one of the very tragic genocide that happened in Rwanda. It killed lot many male population. That is one of the reason for increasing female sex ratio in Rwanda, right? So that's about this. Next we can see here, Nepal to bring law to curb fake social media accounts. This is with respect to social media regulations in Nepal, our neighbor, so that we need to pay attention to that. Just the headline is important here. Again see this, in Bangladesh, services hit as railway staff declared strike. Just an observation regarding what's happening in Bengal. In the similar fashion, probe against this Giorgio Meloni, the Prime Minister of Italy, especially with respect to favoring Libyan warlord, when a case is going on against him in this International Criminal Court in The Hague. So there is an allegation that she favored the warlord of Libya. So in that context, that is one headline, you can have a look at that. Again same here, see this one, Serbian Prime Minister quits over amid nationwide protests. The immediate trigger was what you call this killing of 15 people near to that what you call collapse of a bridge in the railway station. So here, just because of the collapse of bridge and eventual killing of 15 people is not exactly the reason. The main reason is what it was like entrenched corruption. So that eventually compelled the Prime Minister to resign. That's what we can understand from this particular article. And this is more important. This again you can consider it as like a governance initiative. For example, in Vietnam, right, in the recent past, we can see drivers, especially these the two-wheelers and four-wheelers, suddenly they started following the traffic rules. What can be the fundamental reason? Large fines. The reason why the government wants to impose large fines up to the extent of $1,500. Understood? So what can be the reason? So they feel countries like Singapore, China, Japan, there because of the heavy road safety, right? They could able to see the progress in their country. So in the similar fashion, this lower income country called Vietnam, it also wants to follow that kind of model, right? Especially in terms of public safety. It's a very good initiative, but some people are having issues with respect to huge amount of fines, right? So that's about this Vietnam. Now let's come to this this information again. This is very important. This ASPIRANT report, it's very good news, especially after long gap we are seeing good news with respect to state of education in the country, especially early childhood education. See the graph here. Government schools lead way, 23%, 23.4% class 3 children have basic reading skills. Just see here. In this particular is the year, especially this is exclusively for the government. This is government plus private included. See this. So see this particular one here. These three. In 2018, only 20.9 percentage. In 2020, it actually got reduced, right? Especially during the time of pandemic. Now once again, right, it got improved. It's very good news. Especially it was led by the government schools. Here to some extent internet also playing very crucial role, and the most important thing is the new education policy. The emphasis in the new education policy, right, it is playing very crucial role. That's what here also it mentioned. Behind sudden uptick, government's NEP push new energy in 2022. So because under which the major intention of the government is not just for the rote learning, but to provide critical thinking to the children, right? So it also wants to enhance the teacher training. Still teacher training is an issue, but overall, at least now with the help of internet right now, to some extent it is helping people to self learn. Understood? So it's very good news from I think you all know about this ASPIRANT report, annual status of education report by Pratham NGO. Okay, that is about this. Next, see, Modi may visit US in February, have very good relationship with India, Trump. So he will do what is right. Trump asked if Modi agreed to take illegal immigrants. So with respect to a question of illegal immigrants, the answer given by Trump was that Modi will do what is right with respect to the relationship. That's about this. Again, this is very important. See this, very important. DeepSeek Sputnik movement. Why they call it as Sputnik movement? Because the launch of this Sputnik spacecraft, it altered the relationship. It actually raised fundamental questions of America's prowess at that time in 1960s. Understood? Now this DeepSeek, people are considering it as like a Sputnik movement, right? This time this was done by China, right? In which particular field? In the field of artificial intelligence. So in this particular article they mention 5 key takeaways. What are those 5 key takeaways? Just wait and see, we will discuss that, right? Before that, just have a look at this. Railway Ministry wanted its grant, wants it as a grant. See, it to railways took loan of close to 80,000 crores. Now it wants it to be considered as a grant. Grant means just for, you will not get anything written back. It is just for the development. But Minister of Finance said that we cannot give a grant, we cannot convert that loan as grant, but we will be giving a 2-year moratorium. That means after 2 years you can pay it back. So that is with respect to this particular issue, because I just want you to have an idea about this. But here, come back to this topic. Say this. It opens race between US and China. Once again, as you all know, yesterday there was what you call fall of stock market, especially of this processor making Nvidia. What can be the reason? See, right now everybody is thinking like US is leading in terms of technological prowess, especially in the context of AI. But USA's AI is very costly. But in the context of China, this DeepSeek, it came up with a very low cost model. Understood? So now it is a race between US and China with respect to artificial intelligence. How do we see it? So here the 5 key takeaways. Key takeaway number 1, right? One is strategic salience. So DeepSeek reminds us of Sputnik's Soviet Union's launch of Sputnik. So that means now it once again it creates a kind of bipolar thing with respect to artificial intelligence. On one side we have US, on the other side we have China. Earlier on one side we used to have US, on the other side we used to have USSR with respect to space race. Now in this AI race we have these strategic changes. Now countries may get divided, like some countries may opt for China, some countries may go for US. That's why there is strategic salience here. And along with that, if you see some other points, for example, see here, we have seen this collapse of this bloodbath of this Wall Street. The reason being, why do we need to invest why do we need to invest this much heavy in your processes, right? When China is coming up with such a low cost model, understood? So that's the reason it eventually create a bloodbath for the Wall Street's AI stocks. That's what they mentioned here. So, but the second important point here is it intensifies geopolitical rivalry, as we mentioned, right? First one is it changes the strategic salience. Second one is intensifies geopolitical rivalry because the great power competition. The next one is it is questioning the US prowess here. Money can't buy everything. Sometimes even with low cost, you can bring like extreme changes. That's what happened here. So that means it is questioning US. Next, room would be much larger if US choose partnership model with allies, right? Now, as you all know, earlier everyone thought because of this competition, right, it opens opportunity for partnership. Now US also will realize why it need to collaborate with India. As you all know, recently when USA came up with this AI policy, AI rules, right, it allowed 18 countries, among them India was not there. So one of the fears was that if India, if there happens to be technological transfer with India without much restrictions, India may help Russia. So they have this fear. But now USA will understand, because if it needs to expand its base, it needs collaboration. So this kind of race will encourage collaborations. Next, finally, it will definitely open the race. There is no doubt about it. But at the same time, it now, because now on one side, till now everyone is thinking like only US is leading the AI. But now this kind of models from China, that too, unlike US. So unlike USSR, those days USSR was it led only in the space in the space division, but eventually with the collapse of USSR, once again US's prominence got rose. But in this case, now China is world's second largest economy in terms of size, in terms of resources. Now it will open the Pandora box. So we have to wait and see how this eventually leads to, right? So this is what we can understand from this particular article, the DeepSeek R1 of China versus, like there are not many like Llama of Facebook, of Meta, right? Gemini of Google, what you call Alphabet. Next, OpenAI. These all are there, but how this race will go on, we have to wait and see. Next, so this we just mentioned about that NEP gave a push for increase of this standards with respect to early education. Here I just highlighted this National Assessment Survey, National Achievement Survey of the central government, of the union government. So union government itself will have its own survey, but this ASPIRANT is of the Pratham NGOs. See this one here, freedom of speech permits one man's march to another man's militant. Here the main point is one individual from the BJP from Delhi unit filed a complaint against Delhi Chief Minister Atishi, right? But here the court argued that when you keep this kind of defamation suits, right, we cannot encourage. The reason being, for each and everything, if we encourage defamation, right, it creates a kind of challenge to freedom of speech and expression. There are certain questions, certain political questions that can be answered eventually in the court of people. Understood? Here, because the main allegation is that when Atishi said 21 of its MLAs, right, were lured by BJP by offering 25 crores for each MLA. That's what she alleged. So further, this individual mentioned that it hurted their sentiments, especially of the BJP, because she passed wrong allegation. So if they felt it's a kind of defaming the party, then they filed a case. But the court technically also argued that here no individual was defamed, right? So it's a political question. Let it get answered in the people's court, that is through elections. That's what the court argued here. It is important in the context of defamation. Next, so as we discussed about this Haryana poisoning Yamuna, then the election commission asked to Kejriwal submit the proof rather than simply passing the allegation. See, as we discussed about this Tahir Hussain, few days back, the two-judge bench gave a split verdict. One judge mentioned that yes, we can allow the convicted under trial prisoner to contest elections and also to campaign. They can contest election, to also allow for the campaign. The other judge mentioned that it will open the floodgates. We should not encourage this kind of thing, because there are severe cases pending against this individual, right? How can we allow? If that is the case, every under trial will come out and say that we are contesting elections, we want to go out for campaign. But however, now the Supreme Court agreed for a conditional campaign. That means he cannot visit his house only for 5 days. He can go and campaign. He should come back. That's what with conditions they allowed him. This is what we can understand from this. Next, here it's more about Delhi elections. Again, this see this one. Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana Gramin, under which states are demanding hike in funds under Pradhan Mantri Rural Housing Scheme. Just an idea, because now run up to the budget. So states also have the demand. Every day we used to see that different pressure groups and lobbies will want to put forward their points. MSME sector, it wants some kind of revision, right? Exports, with respect to exports, they have their own demands. States have their own demands. Everyone will be putting their demands. Eventually, these demands will be listened, like central union government, especially Minister of Finance, will be listening to them, and it will eventually come up with the budget. So that's about it. Next, here see Assam mining case. As you all know, here the important thing is the illegal rat hole mining. Because of that, recently at least 9 people died. Understood that in Assam. So for that, High Court asked for issued a demand notice. Just an update about the issue between government and the court. But the most important thing is about this rat hole mining, illegal mining, and eventual death of people. See this, India's progress cannot rely only on export of raw material. Here the major point here the Prime Minister's argued is that expansion of Indian economy rests on 2 pillars: an innovative service sector and quality of products, right? So because we need to export both goods and services. Understood? As of now, we are exporting the goods, but most of it is in the form of raw material, in the form of rice, in the form of wheat, in the form of sugar, in the form of cotton. But the Prime Minister's argument here is we need to export processed raw material. That means we need to improve our manufacturing sector. So that's why here you can use this statement in your mains answers, right? So in what way you can use the country's expansion of country's economy rests on 2 pillars, that is innovative service sector and quality of product. Quality of product means improving the manufacturing sector. So the statement is good. So that's the reason I highlighted that. So he attended this what you call Utkarsh Odisha. It is similar to that West Bengal's global summit with respect to attracting the investors. As you all know, recently when Singapore's president visited India, he visited Odisha. They are planning for a skill development center with respect to semiconductors in Odisha, because Odisha is a land of resources. So that's why now they want to connect Odisha with the Asian countries. So that's the point here I highlighted. Next, this is just a regional stat, right? Pasamandas comprise 85% of Muslims in Bihar. Understood? Just it's a stat that can be important in the context of regional politics. Why here they mentioned this Ali Anwar, right? A Pasmanda person, and mountain man Manji's son, Dasraj Manji, right? He also joined Congress. Though it's a political news, but the important thing is the stat is like which particular Muslim community dominating the Bihar, the Pasmandas. 85% are Pasmandas. The stat is important. Next, see this is see this one, the reason why I highlighted this, CPM, right, Communist Party of India, Marxist from Kerala, right, they visited Davos, right. So usually we think like it's mostly it's of a capitalist den, but when Kerala, when this communist government also sent their delegation to World Economic Forum, we can understand the need for investments. So that's the reason I have to highlight this. Next, see this. Ahead of Delhi polls, Ram Rahim out on parole. So every time before elections, this individual, this kind of governments, right? Because they used to influence the elections. Though there are allegations, serious allegations against him, but most of the time he will be coming on parole, right? It's a news that need to be considered, but the most tragic one is this: boiled women's body parts, flushed bone powder. Sometimes some issues, if you see in news, right, it disturbs your mood, right. One such issue is this: see how inhuman this individual, he not only killed her, right, but boiled her body parts and flushed the bone powder. Understood? Ex-servicemen arrested in Hyderabad. This incident happened in Hyderabad. Very tragic. Again, this is important. See this, Chief Justice of India Sanjeev Khanna, right? His major point is, he argued that, see, in simple 3 points I mentioned the fundamental challenges in the judicial system. One is flags with arrears. Arrears means pendency of cases, increasing cost of the practice, litigation cost, and falsehood, practice of falsehood as challenges. Practice of falsehood means like, so unnecessary, like what you call that, unnecessarily filing the petitions and diverting the cases. So that means that is questioning the morale of the justice system because of the falsehood. Next one is pendency of cases and litigation cost. So his major point is like how, especially decadal growth, if you see decade by decade how the judicial system is transforming, there his major point is that we have these 3 fundamental challenges. One is dependency of cases, litigation cost, and falsehood in the litigation like practice. Right. And finally, he mentioned like how certain judgments, like be it case Sunanda Bharti case, the 1990s, 94 especially, as you know, this SR Bombay case. In this case, the Supreme Court mentioned federalism is part of the basic structure of the Constitution. Recently, Supreme Court upheld secularism as part of the basic structure of the Constitution, right? So the words like secularism and socialism, right, they cannot be removed from the preamble. So that's what his main point is, like how time to time Supreme Court is protecting the basic tenets, basic principles of the Constitution. All right. Next, say this: India rejects Canadian inquiry report. In fact, Canada is meddling in our affairs. This is with respect to that what you call Canada's encouragement of the separatists called Khalistan. Siddhivinayak temple won't allow devotees wearing shorts or revealing clothes. It's a kind of religious restriction. This is important. Say this: aspiring model and cyber mule. Who is a cyber mule? Cyber mules are those individuals, right? They will be in terms of cyber crimes, they will come in the last rung, right? Here the cyber mules will be there. So after happening of all the activity, the money will be coming to these mules. Mules means these people doesn't know anything. Only their accounts will be used to transfer the money. So these people will be doing all the illegal activities and the accounts of these individuals will be used. But what is the interesting fact here? I will be just underlying some numbers, just see here. Okay, see this. What this tells us? What it tells us? It tells us the age. Majority of them are the young lads. These people are being used as cyber mules. Right? If there happens a cyber crime, if there happens an investigation, the first group of individuals who will get caught are these people. But just because of this greed for money, some people will be allowing their accounts, because some people will just be at your home, get money. How can you get money without doing any work? Give your accounts, these people will be using your accounts and you will be getting some commission. But where your accounts are being used? Your accounts are being used by the cyber criminals to transfer the money. This is what these individuals are doing, right? They are running this racket in collaboration with this Cambodia. Recently also we discussed Laos and Cambodia, lot many Indians, they like the cyber criminals, they made these countries as den to work, to operate. This is what we can understand from this. Next, see this. This is about again the Pratham report, asset report, annual survey of education report. What is remarkable is that, as we discussed, it is driven by the government. So this we must consider as a success. See this, today we have 100 million, 10 crore children at the foundational learning stage, 10 crore. So 10 crore is not a small size at the foundational level. So for them, if this kind of education standards are getting improved, it's a thing that must be appreciated. Next, breaking the ice. This is about the Chinese visit, but still, as we discussed recently, after NSC's visit, after the Prime Minister and the Chinese President visit on the sidelines of BRICS summit in Kagan, right? Next, the recent Foreign Secretary level visit. It is once again resuming the relationship between India and China, especially post 2020 altercation between the relationship, right? But still, what is the major challenge here? Though we disengaged, de-escalation and de-induction, that means in the coming future, this kind of thing should not be repeated. We should reduce the number of troops who are being operated along the borders. Still, that's a challenge. The most important challenge is the trade deficit. Still, we have highest amount of trade deficit with China, more than 100 billion trade deficit we have. This we need to fix the gap. This is what we can understand from this. Next, again, see here, I found one interesting fact. This is especially with respect to corporate India, India Inc. What is the interesting fact is, see this, from the government side, despite multiple challenges, we reduced the poverty. As you all know, in 2013-14, the poverty rate in the country 29.2. But right now, the current poverty rate is only 11.3 percentage. Sorry, poverty in the country, only 11.3 percentage of the country's population right now are extremely poor. Earlier, it used to be 29.2. Despite that, if you see private sector, the authors, the individuals who wrote the article, their main point here is that if you see the CSR, corporate social responsibility, see the stat they mentioned here. With respect to Pune, right, 275 crores they spent, sorry, 257 crores. 257 crores they spent, right, only in Pune. But in the similar fashion, if you see, in that 112 aspirational district, overall they spent how much? 472 crore. Only in the city of Pune, they spent 257 crore. But in overall 470, in 112 district, they spent 472 crore. See the difference. Here, what's the per capita? In 112 districts, the per capita is just 19 rupees. In only Pune, the per capita is 375 rupees. What it tells us? What this data tells us? Inequity, right? That means in terms of spending, how the kind of the how regional variant it is. That means most of the amount is being spent only in specific places. So the corporate social responsibility is not spreading equally across the country. That's what we can understand from this. On the contrary, government spent 48 lakh crore in the last 10 years with respect to welfare schemes. But corporate India, still its spending is good, but the problem is its spending is not right equally distributed across the country. That's what we can understand from this article, that is India Inc.'s equity challenge. Say this. That's the crux of the matter. This is about Rajamohan's European problem. His major thing is like they are having issues with economic anxiety, right? He mentioned about immigration, right? So especially because on one side USA and China are racing against each other, but slowly US is being sidelined. So this is what we can understand. Next, with respect to economy, again see here, top USA developer company has to analyze DeepSeek low cost model. How come DeepSeek Harvard could able to come up with such a low cost model? On the contrary, we are having very high cost models. See this, Ambani's point, green energy, AI shape future of humanity. this is important. That's what Ambani's statement. But the most important thing is when listed, right? Here the core point is grey market. What is grey market? As you all know, if there is a company A, right, it wants to come to stock market. If it has to come to stock market, first it has to release IPO, initial public offer. So this initial public offer will be approved by stock exchange regulator, that is SEBI, right? So after approving to list in the stock market, there will be gap period. That means SEBI gave its approval, but to come to the final listing, it will take some time. So in between, some people will come and trade. This trade is what we call as grey market. That means before the stock official comes to the market, before that itself, that means the mother conceived the baby, but before the baby gets delivered, we will start naming it, whether it's a boy or girl, right? What to name, where, all these things we will plan. So that's what is called as grey. Understood that? So there people will start investing. Till now, this when listed means the middle. It is informally being organized. That means there is no formal regulation for that. So now SEBI itself wants to regulate it. Understood that? It wants to create a platform for the investors rather than going for informal way of purchasing the shares, because the shares are not yet listed, but people will be predicting on the basis of the IPO's offer. Because once IPO is clear, they will be, as per the market value of that particular company, they will be listing out the price of each share, right? So before it is going to be listed, the trading will start. So now this also SEBI wants to regulate through a platform. So this market is called as grey market. This is what we can understand from this. Next, after this, again DeepSeek lessons and message. As we said, NVIDIA's fall. Why the fall happened? Because when China has to come up with such a low cost model, why we need to invest that much high cost on your processors? So this is about it. Next, again that's about asset report. Again see here, the fundamentally what kind of changes we need to bring: more data with respect to early childhood education and care, and improving the budget. These are the two fundamental points where still we need to improve. Though it's a good sign that comparing with 2022, the skills of the children got increased. However, still the challenge is we need to get more amount of data, more refined data. In the similar fashion, we need to improve the budget. That's what we can get from this asset report. Next, after that, about sports, mostly about sports. That's it for the day. All right, thank you.